Is there a most memorable moment from all of those years in the Toronto Blessing?
If it's for when I was in Toronto, the thing with Heidi was very memorable when she was touched. There's a night, well, the first night is memorable when it broke out and just what was happening, the people falling and laughing. The first Sunday morning after we were there, it was like the fourth or fifth day, when this guy got up and we were giving words of knowledge for people, and this guy stood up in the back and said, Did you get a word for me? He said, I'm the Tasmanian devil, and do you have a word for me? Anyway, I remember that. I said, listen, don't focus on him, and don't focus on what he said. He's overplayed the enemy, he's overplayed his hand, God's glory is going to come. And it fell right then. And there were bodies everywhere. And the leaders of the church took him out to a private place, got him free, led him to the Lord.
Wow.
In the early days, there was a lot of young people getting saved too. In Toronto.
Wow.
But what changed was a small, very small venue. You only see 400 and 300 in the overflow. When the people started coming from all over the world, they were Christians.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for the lost to get in. And so that would be a difference. But I remember that Tasmanian devil thing. I thought, oh wow, that was.
Had you, feeling-wise, when the glory of God came, had you sensed that measure of glory before, or was this a whole new level, or just with more people, or
the suddenness of it? It was the confrontational moment of it was unusual. I hadn't had that before. But before the Toronto Blessing happened, I went and spoke to the Vineyard Regional Meeting of the Pastors. It was just as powerful. That's why I was invited to go to Toronto, because there's almost like, I don't know, maybe 70 to people there, all the key pastors of the region starting their churches. And it was crazy, wild. Bodies going everywhere, weeping, laughing, drunkenness. And that's what John Arnott heard. And all the leaders of the Vineyard heard that testimony from the regional overseer, but John's the only one who called me. He was the area overseer. And but that was powerful before I went. And then I had this thing of, not really through your question, but I had this word that I got before I went about test me now, test me now, test me now. Don't be afraid. I shared it yesterday, that word. Don't be afraid, I'll back you up, and then more than that. But then I wondered, is that only for in Toronto? Or is that word going to be for anywhere I go? And I didn't know yet. And so the first non-Toronto meeting I had was actually back where I used to pastor in Illinois, not Missouri. And then we had, like 700 people. It'd seat about that many places in a theater, and it was crazy. Wow. I remember kids being carried out, but they're not limp, they're stiff. And just like that. Kids out for hours, and pastors being touched and just violently moving under the power. One of them wrote the Radical Middle, the guy who got touched. I remember him shaking on the floor. It's Bill Jackson. He's going to be with the Lord now. He's my age. But then I said, okay, this is not just, that word was not just for Toronto. It was a word for me. So I remember that because I was concerned. So I remember people coming that were like from around the world. And I'd ask missionaries to come up, or pastors from Europe to come up. And there were these groups of people that just get so powerfully touched. So